party primary is highly problematic. Palladino doesn't have that problem. Malpass, Blakeman, I think, are both strong and potentially winning candidates. I don't know what their resources are, and that's, I guess, what we're going to see.
Well, okay, what about this whole problem in terms of raising money? I mean, was it not actually a self-fulfilling prophecy for Ed Cox to go out and say, one of the reasons that I like Steve Levy so much is because Rick Lazio can't raise money, and then how does that help Rick Lazio raise money? I mean, is he not weakened to the point now that he's not ever going to be able to catch up with $16 million in Andrew Cuomo?
You don't have to catch up to $16 million in Andrew Cuomo. And yes, it absolutely had a debilitating effect on fundraising, from the point of view that people don't want to make a bet where they don't know where it's going to go. But, as the candidates emerge and the issues become clear, people, will give money because they have a place to go now. And as Roger said, I think that, with Lazio having kind of now a clear shot at the Attorney General, I think that money will follow that and resources will follow it. And at the end of the day, you saw in the Scott Brown race, I mean, they couldn't even spend all the money that was coming in at the end because they had,
You can catch fire. It's certainly possible. And I've seen no evidence that it's happened yet, but Brown was indeed without resources and ended up with enough to win in the bluest of blue states.
Yeah, I don't see him getting in. I don't see Rick Lazio getting in a pickup truck and driving around New York.
That was in a U.S. Senate race where you have to raise, money in chunks of $3,500.
That's right.
I mean, so.
Well, I think again, a lot had to do with the profile. Scott Brown had a blue-collar profile. He wasn't, a lobbyist. He hadn't been a congressman. This is the year of the outsider.
That's your second bite of the apple on that one.
The other point, look at from this day forward to the next filing, how much money now starts coming into Rick that people were sitting on their hands before.
Well, it'll be interesting, to see if it happens.
You see, from what I've been hearing, there are checkbooks going to open up, and we will see over the next 6 weeks because there are people on hold. He is the nominee at the moment. He should be able to go get that money. That money's on the table, and that's his job right now. Go get that.
Okay, let's finish up really briefly with the conservative split, because Roger mentioned earlier that there's actually going to be a primary, and this is Ralph Florigo. He's
Correct.
the Erie County conservative chairman. He managed, because he doesn't need a Wilson Pakula special permission to get on there, he managed to force a primary in the Conservative Party against Rick Lazio. What is it with the Republicans and the conservatives that they couldn't get along this time? Is it a personal thing between Mike Long and Ed Cox, or is it really ideological? Who wants to take that one?
Look, I think that there was an opportunity to put together a slate of candidates where there would be multiple primaries. For whatever reason, that didn't happen. I'm not necessarily certain that a primary with Ralph Florigo is going to be a debilitating event for Rick Lazio in any way, shape, or form.
I really disagree. Rick Lazio is pro-abortion. Ralph Florigo opposes Rick Lazio.
Ralph Florigo is basically trying to screw up the Senate's chances of winning an important seat in Erie County.
A political argument. The primary, conservative primary, would be about ideology and ideas. Abortion, gun control, subprime mortgages. Rick Lazio is a moderate Republican who won't play well in a tiny little ideological-based primary.
But
it's
Roger,
problematic
Ralph
because there's so
Florigo
few.
endorses Democrats, has endorsed many Democrats, cross-endorsed
Political
them.
process argument. It's
They
about
just
ideology,
endorsed a
not
Democrat
process.
in the state Senate
Yeah,
seat
they
in
endorsed
Buffalo
Kennedy, Tim
against
Kennedy.
Mike Connolly.
Against your guy.
This is whistling through the graveyard, and here's why. It takes few resources to reach 130,000 true-believing and conservatives and tell them the difference on their gut issues. It's not going to be about political tactics. It's going to be about ideology. And undeniably, Ralph Florigo is to Rick Lazio's right on those key issues.
Is that true, Dave?
I don't know all of Ralph Florigo's issues. What I do know is that at the end of the day, conservative voters are not going to throw away their vote on Ralph Florigo because he's going to be a footnote in this conference. This might be the second to last time we ever mention his name.
Standing up for principle.
Okay, you get the last word.
Having Mike Long go out and campaign for Rick Lazio is going to help offset some of the things that Roger's talking about.
Bossism. We're
No,
going to
the
say
last word
bossism.
was supposed to go to Quinn, but so
Well,
much
that's
for
all right.
that. Okay,
Mike
I'm
Long will
cutting
be
you
able
off.
to help what Rick needs around the state to go get the conservative primary.
We could do this for a long time, I'm sure, but unfortunately we cannot do it. So I want to thank you, Brendan Quinn, Dave Catalfamo, and Roger Stone. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
And that is